Hi class, Mrs. Calvi here. I want to do a review on comparing fractions, okay? So if you notice here, I have the fraction 3/4, and I'm comparing that to 2/4. When I say comparing, we're going to be using less than, greater than, or equal to. Now, if you notice, remember, the numbers on the top of a fraction are called my numerators. The numbers at the bottom of my fraction are called denominators. So if I'm looking at my denominators and my denominators are the same, all I have to do is look at my numerators and see, well, what is 3 compared to 2? Well, 3 is greater than 2. So because my denominators are both 4, I can just look at my numerators. 3 is greater than 2, so that means 3/4 is greater or larger than 2/4. So when your denominators are the same, it's very easy. Okay, now that does not work if your numerators are the same. If your numerators are the same, that doesn't mean you look at your denominators. No, it only works if your denominators are the same and then you look at your numerators. So looking at these two fractions, I have 4/16 and I'm comparing it to 8/16. So right away, I notice that my denominators are the same. This is an easy one. Just look at your numerators and compare. 4 is what compared to 8? Well, 4 is less than 8, so then that means 4/16 is going to be less than 8/16. Remember, the alligator wants to eat the larger value, right? You learned that in elementary school. All right, now let's look at some fractions that do not have the same denominator. Okay, so if you see here, I am comparing 2/3 to 4/5. My denominators are not the same. So when your denominators are not the same, you're going to use what we call cross multiplication. So watch what I do. I am going to cross multiply these numbers. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So 5 times 2 is 10. Well, 10 is less than 12, so that means 2/3 is less than 4/5. It's actually very simple. Comparing fractions that don't have the same denominator are pretty easy as long as you know your multiplication facts, okay? So we need to know our multiplication facts. Let's try one more. Okay, so here I'm comparing 5/6 to 7/8. So my denominators are not the same. I'm going to proceed with cross multiplying. So 6 times 7 is 42. 8 times 5 is 40. Well, 40 is less than 42. So then that tells me that 5/6 is less than 7/8. Okay, pretty simple. I'm going to go one step further and I'm going to compare a fraction to a decimal, and I'm going to show you what you could do. Okay, so here I am comparing a fraction to a decimal. I'm comparing 4/5 to 0.5, or how would I say this? 5/10. Now, I don't have a number greater than 0 in my ones place, so I would not say 0 and 5/10. I would just say 5/10. Now, if I had 1.5, then I would say 1 and 5/10. But when you don't have a whole number on the left side of your decimal, you don't say 0 and. So I'm saying this rational number as 5/10. All right. So pretty easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this decimal into a fraction. So I just got done saying that the way I word this, or what this number is called, this rational number, how I would say it as 5/10. So I just changed the decimal. I read it aloud and I wrote what I heard. So I would read this as 5/10. So I just wrote 5/10. So now I'm comparing 4/5 to 5/10. Well, we just learned that we can use cross multiplication. 5 times 5 is 25. 10 times 4 is 40. Well, 40 is greater than 25, so that means 4/5 is greater than 5/10. All right, so it's actually pretty simple to turn a decimal into a fraction. You just read the rational number and write what you hear. So let's try one more. Okay, so I'm comparing 2/3 to, you have to say this properly. You have to make sure you know your place value. That 5 is in the hundredths place. So I would read this decimal as 15 hundredths. So I'm going to write what I just said. I just said that this reads 15 hundredths. Okay, so you definitely need to know the place value. So whatever digit is to the last place to the right, you say that place value. So you say the number and you say that place value. So the 5 is in the hundredths place. So I say the number, which is 15, and I say that place value. So 15 hundredths. 15 hundredths. So now bring down my 2/3, and now I'm going to cross multiply because I've learned to cross multiply. Okay, so you would do 15 times 3, which gives me 45. 100 times 2 is 200. Well, 200 is greater than 45, so 2/3 is greater than 15 hundredths. Okay? All right, that's it for today, and I will talk to you soon.